Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and today I'm bringing you the mid-year book freakout tag. I always think I'm saying that wrong. So today, July 2nd, is the exact middle of the year, and that means it's time to do the mid-year book freakout tag. That is a mouthful. Let's bring up Storygraph. Okay, so far this year, I have read 174 books. That's as I'm filming right now. By the time this goes up on the 2nd, probably a little bit more, but as of right now, I've read 174 books. My reading goal for the year is 200 books, so I am so close. I'm slightly off on my book a day that I always challenge myself to do. The exact middle of the year is 183 days, so I am a little bit behind, not by much, but a little bit. Hopefully I can chew away at that gap. And according to Storygraph, I have read over 45,000 pages. This isn't a perfect estimation. This is, this could be skewed either because they're missing page information or I read a different edition. A lot of things factor in about why this is just a guesstimation, but it's pretty close. I'm happy with those pages. And you can see from my genres, I do read predominantly romance. It is way out there. The romance is out there. Honestly, I don't think any other genre could catch up. Trailing behind romance is fantasy. Trailing behind that is contemporary. Trailing behind that, young adult, then mystery. I've read a lot of middle grade this year just because I'm doing the Percy Jackson or the Uncle Rick read along with Bree. So I have been reading a lot of middle grade books, and then I did middle grade March back in March. And so my middle grade numbers are higher up there. But yeah, as you can see, my romance numbers are up there. Out of the 174 books that I've read, Storygraph says 95 of them are romance, and I honestly think that number's a little low. But anyway, enough with the stats, let's get into the questions. Question number 1 is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And really, out of 174, you want me to pick one? Okay. All right. Honestly, the first book that came to mind when I was reading this is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I really enjoyed this book. I read this book back in February, I believe. The second book that came to mind was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I read this because Deja needed someone to talk to after she read it, so I volunteered as tribute and I read this book and we absolutely loved it. There's a lot of triggers that go on in this book, both books actually. Lots of blood, gore, violence, assault. But if you like feeling scared, if you like that creepy sensation, if you like feeling sick to your stomach, I definitely urge you to pick these books up because they're amazing. They're really good. And it's so funny how I read predominantly romance. I'm a romance booktuber, but my favorite book of the year are horror books. Question number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and that is We Freed the Stars by Hafsha Faizal. Honestly, I have been waiting for the sequels for a very long time, 2019. I absolutely adore this duology. If you haven't read it, please do. It's an enemies to lovers. The tension and the chemistry between our two main characters, Zafira and Nasir, it's just palpable. It comes off the page. The sequel delivered everything and more, and it ended beautifully. Question number 3 is new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. Oh gosh, all of them? First one that comes to mind is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and that's only because Deja and I, we keep saying we want to buddy read it, but we just never do. So that is at the forefront of my mind of wanting to read. Another one is Wild Rain by Beverly Jenkins. Another one, Witches Steeped in Gold. That cover is gorgeous. That cover is gorgeous. And B, they said they really liked it as well, so I definitely want to read it. Question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Like, again, all of them? First and foremost in my brain is Queen by Katie Robert. That is book number 3 in the Bloodline Vampire series. So good. So good. Trigger warnings for dubious consent and blood play, but it is so good. It's so good. If you are looking for a swoony, steamy, sexy, polyamorous vampire story, look no further because this is amazing. And each book, the stakes are higher, and each book ends with an oh my god moment that just leaves you thirsting for the next book. So I've been waiting for this book. I read this series towards the beginning of the year, so I haven't been waiting for as long as most people have, but I want it immediately. Another one is Court by Tracy Wolff. I just finished Covet, and again, like, the way these books end, like, these authors, they're so good at writing endings that just make you want the next book. So I'm really excited for Court to come out. How this series was pitched to me, it's a better written version of Twilight, kind of mixed with Vampire Diaries, and it doesn't disappoint. I absolutely love this series. Third book is my favorite. Second book is better than the first, but the way that it's going, the series just keeps getting better and better. Another one that I'm looking forward to is Blind Tiger by Sandra Brown. Sandra Brown is one of my favorite authors. Every time she releases a book, I buy it. So this takes place in Prohibition 1920s, and Blind Tiger is actually another name for like a speakeasy or a place where they sell alcohol illegally. So I thought that was really interesting, kind of different than what she traditionally writes. She typically writes like a romantic suspense. There's like a murder mystery going on, and also a romantic element. That's kind of all I really know about Blind Tiger, but honestly, she can't write a bad book, so I'm very excited for it. Another one that I'm looking forward to is A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown. I read A Song of Race and Ruin earlier this year. Absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to continue on. These covers are gorgeous. Mythology and world building is epic, amazing. I would actually really love for this to be a TV show. I would love for this to be a TV show. And other books that I'm looking forward to is literally everything that Julian Lindsay is releasing. So she writes under numerous pen names, but books that she's coming out with. There's going to be the third book in the Cider Shop Mystery Series. There's going to be the 7th book of the Seaside Cafe Mystery Series. The 3rd book in the Christmas Tree Farm Mystery Series. I've been waiting for this forever because when I read the first 2 books, to my knowledge, they were done. Speaking with Julian Lindsay about this, she had said that the publisher thought sales were dwindling. They didn't want to sign her on for another contract of another few books, so it kind of just died. But readers brought life back into this series. People were just buying these books left and right, and that kind of showed the publisher that, no, this series isn't done. People want this series. And so they decided to publish one more book, and I just think that's amazing. So if you ever think readers don't have any power, this just shows you that it does. This series was done, and because people showed interest in it, because readers were buying the first 2 books and talking about them, the publisher decided to contract another book. That's just fantastic to me. That is literally amazing. Julian Lindsay is also self-publishing books this year. I believe the first 3 or 4 books are going to be out this year, and that series is the Bonnie and Clyde mystery series. The first one is called Burden of Poof. I'm so excited for it. Anything that Julian Lindsay writes is phenomenal. If you love cozy mysteries, look her up, read her books. They are amazing. Question number 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year. And for that one, for me, it's going to be The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. I'm buddy reading all of Rick Riordan's books with Bree over at the Locked Booktition. And when we read Percy Jackson, we really enjoyed those books, really made us excited and want to continue on with Rick Riordan's work. But reading The Kane Chronicles, it just kind of fell really flat. The first book was the better one of the 3, but it just slowly went down from there. I will link our discussions in the description box for you so you can know our full thoughts, but it was really disappointing, especially after just the enjoyment of the first series that we read from him. Question number 6 is what was the biggest surprise of the year? So for that one is definitely Ensnared by Tiffany Robert. So I'm just going to put a picture of the book up because then it's going to tell you everything you need to know about why this was such a surprise that I absolutely loved this book. Look at this. Just look at it. Are you looking? Okay, so one of our main characters is from an alien race that look exactly like giant ass spiders. And I absolutely love this book. I gave it 5 stars. That is why it's the biggest surprise of the year. I love me some monster smut. Do not get me wrong. But if it is an insect or if it skitters or crawls, I am a no. But I gave this book a try because it's Tiffany Roberts and I love them. They are a husband and wife writing duo. I absolutely adore everything I read by these authors. So even though I was hesitant, I gave it a shot and I absolutely loved it. And you will too. Question number 7 is favorite new author that can be new to you or it can be a debut author. And for me, I have 3. I read them all for Hoathon. And the first one is Aveda Weiss. They have 2 books out right now. Headless, which is a Sleepy Hollow polyamorous retelling. And the second one is Feed. This is book number 1 in the Fangs with Benefits. This is a hate to love or enemies to lovers romance between a succubus and a dead moth fairy. Both of these books are very short, Headless being the shortest of the 2. But with Feed, the succubus uses this service so she can feed safely without having to worry about harming anybody. So she orders in for the night, and she answers her door, and it turns out to be this dead moth fairy that she knows from work, and they hate each other. At first, she was like, no, I'm not going to do this. But then the dead moth fairy, they talk her into it, and they end up having this whirlwind, steamy, sexy love scene. And then as they're leaving, they turn back to her and is like, I'll see you at work, with like this little smirk. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that scene. I need that scene. Them at work, realizing what they did kind of made them realize that they have feelings for each other. So I was like, I needed this book to A, be longer, or B, have another book in the series. And the other book is coming out. It's coming out on July 16th, and I'm very, very excited for it. Just read this author. Just read them, please. Another author, R.M. Virtues. 2 books, What Are the Odds? It's kind of like an estranged best friends to lovers relationship, sister's ex-husband. Very, very good. It actually takes place in Arizona, which was so cool. I didn't know that going in. So then when they were talking about certain streets or certain clubs or certain this or that, I'm just like, I know this place, which was really, really cool. Another book written by this author is called Drag Me Up, which is book number 1 in the Gods of Hunger series. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. Really amazing. So good. The second book in the series is coming out, and the author keeps releasing these little tidbits, these little teasers on Twitter, and it's driving me crazy because they're so hot. I can't wait. Just read his books. They're amazing. And another author, Tasha L. Harrison. I read 2 books of hers for the Hoathon. If She Says Yes, which is a forbidden romance between a guy and his best friend's mother. Age gap, definitely so good. Both of these books are older woman, younger men. I like it. I like it a lot. But in A Taste of Her Own Medicine, we have a recently divorced single mom who goes back to school because she wants to start her own business. So she takes an entrepreneurial class, and there she meets the hot younger instructor, and sparks fly. So good. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I would have to say Hudson from the Crave series by Tracy Wolff, or Every Monster That Lives in Rook's Grave Manor, but especially Booker. That book is so good. It's a polyamorous reverse harem romance between Esther, who is our main character, and the manor of creatures that live in Rook's Grave Manor. We have Sphinx, we have a vampire, an invisible man, a golem, which is Booker, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type person, and it's just so good. It's so amazing. Read it. Question number 9 is newest favorite character, and that is Yadriel from Cemetery Boys. I absolutely love this book. I loved it. I love the fact that Yadriel proved himself to be a real brujo to his family, and his family accepted him. I was so invested in this story. I absolutely loved it. I know I'm seriously the last person on earth to read this book, but I loved it. Question number 10 is books that made you cry. Oh gosh, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. So beautiful. Beautiful poetry. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, and A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. There is a character that I absolutely adore, and my heart broke. Question number 11 is books that made you happy. And for that one, definitely Dick Fight Island. I just had such a great time reading this book just because I read it during one of the Romance Booktubers live streams, and like 3 of us were reading it. And we just had the best time like talking about it afterward. It's my very first manga, and we're actually having a live stream discussion about it on July 10th. So I just loved it. It was a great time. And definitely Call Me Maybe by Cara Bastone. This was a book written specifically for audio, had a full cast of characters. It was just so beautifully done, so good. The narrators were phenomenal. Writing was just amazing. Storytelling was great. It left you wanting more. When the book ends, they're like meeting for the first time and sharing their first kiss. Well, I wanted a lot more than that, obviously, but it was really cute. I really loved it. Question number 12 is most beautiful book you've bought this year, and definitely The Lost Apothecary. That book is stunning. And these books that I bought by Amanda Boucher, A Promise of Fire, and Starbreaker. These are the UK editions, and I just think they are gorgeous. I got them on eBay. I'm so excited that I found these. And question number 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Again, all of them. I definitely need to read like all the books that I bought. I'm like surrounded by them here. I do want to read a bunch of the In Death series by J.D. Robb. I said last year that I wanted to read a lot of the shifter romances written by T.S. Joyce. And also all the books that I mentioned for questions 3 and 4. Alrighty, so that is all of the questions If you did this video, let me know in the comments because I want to watch it. Have you read any of the books that I mentioned? Don't forget to like my video if you did, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on all the social media platforms. The links will be in the description box below. We'll see you next time, avid readers.